Alright folks, Arena Breakout Infinite is finally here, and I've gotta say, this one feels like a proper gritty shooter. It doesn't just throw you into the battlefield, it makes you feel every tense moment, every shot fired, and every corner you peek around. What makes it even better is the insane variety of weapons right from the start. We're not talking a small arsenal here, we're talking a full-blown catalog of guns that gives you the freedom to play your way, whether you're a sneaky sharpshooter or someone who just loves the sound of heavy firepower. Now, with so many weapons on the table, it's pretty easy to get lost figuring out what's actually worth using. That's why we're breaking it all down today with a tier list of the best guns you can pick up. I'll walk you through the ones that dominate the meta right now, the hidden gems you don't want to overlook, and maybe even a few that you should probably just leave behind. So if you're ready to find out which weapons will give you the edge in Arena Breakout Infinite, let's dive right in. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking weapons in Arena Breakout Infinite. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Mini 14, MP40, QC61-T79, low-tier pistols, and M300 revolver. Alright, picture this. You're in the middle of a raid in Arena Breakout Infinite, and suddenly you realize your gun choice was, let's say, less than ideal. That is exactly where the weapons in the D tier live. These are the guns you pick when your wallet is crying, or when you just want to make life harder for yourself. Let's go through them, and maybe laugh a little at our own pain. First up, the Mini 14. On paper, this rifle looks promising. With the right modifications, it can be decently accurate. But then reality hits. The damage per shot is weak, and the penetration against armored players is almost non-existent. So yes, you can hit your target, but good luck actually dropping them before they laugh and mow you down. Now the MP40. The classic submachine gun with that vintage World War II charm. It feels great to hold, and there is definitely some fun in spraying it around for nostalgia's sake. But let's be real, compared to modern submachine guns, it is like bringing a butter knife to a gunfight. The rate of fire is too slow, the damage just does not keep up, and the only real win here is the history lesson you get while using it. Then we have the QC61, also known as the T79. This one is your bargain bin 7.62 by 25mm option. It is cheap, it makes pew-pew noises, and that is about it. The recoil feels inconsistent, and the effective range is laughable. Sure, you can use it for early quests, but if you try taking it into serious fights, you are basically volunteering to be someone else's loot delivery service. Let's talk about low-tier pistols like the M9A3, the CZ52, the T54, the M1911, and the T05. These sidearms struggle badly when you are up against players wearing armor. You might feel stylish holding one, but the damage output is so poor that you are basically tickling the enemy. Unless you are role-playing as budget John Wick, there is really no reason to rely on these. And finally, the M300 revolver. Now this one at least gets style points. It is a massive revolver that can pull off some cool cinematic kills, but once you get past the novelty, the flaws start showing. The reload speed is painfully slow, and tactically, it does not give you much to work with. It is the kind of weapon you whip out when you want to impress your squad, not when you actually want to win a fight.
The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: S12K, UMP45, MP5 UZI, MP133, VSS, SVDS, M96, AX50, AR30, and SKS. Perfect! Let's keep that same YouTube-style vibe rolling and dive into the C tier. Remember, these weapons are not total disasters, but they are the kind you use while saving up for the big leagues, or when you just want to suffer a little less than you would with a D tier pick. Strap in, because there is a lot to cover here. Let's kick things off with the S12K. This shotgun has some bite to it, especially if you slap on the right modifications. Semi-auto fire, fast follow-up shots, and solid damage make it perfect for budget rushes. But here is the catch. The one-shot kills are inconsistent, and the range is very limited. You feel like a monster 1 second, and then completely useless the next, when your pellets scatter into thin air. Moving on to the UMP45. This one has fans because it feels good in the hands. Easy to handle, decent stopping power, and pretty straightforward to use in close quarters fights. But once the lobby is full of heavily armored players rocking red or armor-piercing rounds from weapons like the HK, AEK, or AK-12, the UMP-45 goes from solid choice to, why am I even here? Without expensive modifications, the recoil gets pretty wild, and suddenly it is no longer your best buddy. Next, the MP5. This is like that dependable starter car your parents bought you. Easy to handle, smooth to drive, and it gets the job done for learning the ropes. But let's be honest, it does not pack much of a punch. Against armored enemies, you might as well be throwing pebbles. It is friendly for beginners, but once you start upgrading, the MP5 quickly feels like training wheels you cannot wait to ditch. Speaking of compact classics, let's talk about the UZI. This gun is cheap, available, and kind of fun to spray in close quarters. But accuracy? Forget about it. The damage per second is laughably weak, and if you try to use it beyond spitting distance, you are basically painting bullet holes into the wall instead of the enemy. The Uzi is great when you are broke, but otherwise, leave it on the shelf. Now let's look at the MP133 pump shotgun. It is a basic emergency weapon, the kind of gun you grab because you have nothing else. It can save your life in a pinch, but when compared to the S12K or the USA S12, it just feels outdated. It is like trying to compete in Formula 1 with a bicycle. Technically it works, but why would you choose it if you have any other option? Sliding into the VSS, and here is where things get interesting. On paper, this should be a dream weapon. Integrated suppressor, stealthy playstyle, and decent stopping power make it sound great for sneaky raids. But the reality is brutal. The recoil is a nightmare, and the bullet speed is painfully slow. By the time your shots actually reach the enemy, they have already finished looting, said goodbye, and maybe even gone back to the lobby. Next up is the SVD-S, which tries to be a budget-friendly designated marksman rifle. It does the job, sort of. You can take semi-automatic shots from a distance without spending a fortune, which sounds good. The problem is that it feels clunky and underwhelming compared to heavy hitters like the SVD or the M110. It is the diet soda of DMRS. You get some flavor, but it never truly satisfies. Then there is the M96 carbine. To be blunt, this thing is universally seen as one of the weakest rifles in the game. Sure, it is lightweight and you can pick it up early on, but it is hard to find a situation where you would actually want to use it. The only real value is that it exists, which is about as low a compliment as a weapon can get. Now let's get dramatic with the AX50. This monster has extremely high damage, serious range, and can one-shot enemies when you are using Tier 6 ammunition with .50 caliber Browning machine gun rounds. Sounds amazing, right? Well, here is the trade-off. It is ridiculously heavy, slow to operate, and will make you feel like you are dragging a piano through the raid. Deadly in theory, clunky in practice. The AR-30 is another high-caliber beast. Accuracy is solid, and with a well-placed shot, you can land a one-shot kill to the chest or head. But it is a bolt-action rifle, which means every miss leaves you completely exposed. It is powerful, but slow handling and heavy mechanics make it a high-risk, high-reward gamble. Basically, you either look like a god, or like someone who just fumbled their entire raid. Now we cannot forget the SKS. This is the solid dad rifle of the C tier. It is reliable, has decent semi-automatic damage, and the ammunition is cheap, making it a great pick for the early game. It is easy to use, and a lot of players have a soft spot for it. But as the game goes on, the cracks show. The penetration just is not strong enough, and faster alternatives outclass it quickly. It is the rifle equivalent of good in high school, but kind of irrelevant now. So that is the C tier in all its glory. These weapons are not the absolute worst. You can absolutely make them work if you are smart about it. But compared to the top dogs, they just do not deliver consistently. You will get some wins, you will get some laughs, but you will also get a lot of "why did I bring this" moments. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, RPK-16, Mosin Nagant, MAC-10, AK-102, Vector 45, SCARL ACE-31, MDR, AUG, USAS-12, AN-94, and DTMDR. Got it. Let's give the B tier its moment. These guns are the middle children of Arena Breakout Infinite. They are not flashy S-tier stars, but they can absolutely hold their own if you give them the love and mods they deserve. Think of them as the dependable workhorses, reliable but not always exciting. Let's break them down one by one, starting with the RPK-16. This is hands down the best light machine gun when it comes to sustained fire. It is controllable if you throw on the right grips, and the ammunition is cheap and everywhere. But of course, there is a trade-off. The handling is heavier and the aim-down sight speed is slower than what you get with assault rifles. Still, if you like the idea of laying down suppressive fire while your team pushes, this one is solid. Now let's talk about the Mosin Nagant, the budget sniper king. With tier 6 or tier 7 ammunition, you can one-shot players and make serious money on sniper runs. It feels great when it lands. The downside? Follow-up shots are painfully slow. Miss once and you are probably toast. This rifle is unforgiving, but if you are accurate, it punches way above its tier. The MAC-10 is next, and this thing has a very specific role: leg meta. With flesh rounds, it shreds limbs like a blender, giving you insanely fast time to kill for almost no cost. It is small, lightweight, and makes a perfect secondary weapon. But here is the problem. It is basically useless outside of leg builds. Its range and penetration are terrible, and against armored players, you are just wasting ammo. Fun for memes, risky for raids. On to the AK-102, which might be one of the most underrated assault rifles in the game. It has solid damage per second, controllable recoil, and it is not going to bankrupt you to run it. If you want to fully min-max, the premium ammunition can get pricey, but overall, this is a great sleeper pick. It is the gun that makes people say, wait, why don't I use this more often? Then we have the Vector .45. This one is a monster up close. With its insanely high rate of fire and low recoil, it melts targets when you are running hollow point or armor-piercing rounds for leg shots. But like most submachine guns, range and penetration hold it back. Outside of close quarters, you are just tickling the enemy. If you keep it in its lane though, it is deadly. Next is the SCAR-L. The SCAR has always had that reputation for feeling good in shooters, and it is the same here. It does good damage, has great mod potential, and feels stable even with basic builds. The catch? The fire rate is lower than some of its competition, and the price tag is a little higher than you would like for what it offers. Still, if you like a smooth, stable rifle, this is your guy. The ACE-31 is a bit of a hybrid weapon. You can run it semi-automatic for designated marksman rifle duties, or switch to full auto for close-range fights. It is compact, saves you some inventory space, and feels versatile. The downside is that its recoil in stock form is pretty mediocre. You will need to invest into mods if you want it to feel as good as it looks on paper. Let's talk about the MDR, a personal favorite for some players. This rifle has controllable recoil, strong mid to high firepower, and the flexibility to be built either as a budget-designated marksman rifle or an assault rifle. With the right attachments, it feels amazing to use, but if you compare it to top-tier rifles like the HK, it falls short in raw time to kill. And yes, the best builds do cost a chunk of change. Then there is the AUG, another stable rifle platform. Even without modifications, it has high accuracy and smooth handling, which makes it attractive for budget-minded players. It shines in mid-range fights, especially if you do not want to spend big on an HK or AEK. But again, its raw damage per second does not quite match the absolute meta. To get the best results, you also need to pair it with the right barrel and optics. The USAS-12 is like the S-12K's mean older brother. It is a fully automatic shotgun with a devastating rate of fire. In close quarters, this thing is nightmare fuel. Ambushes, small maps, or fast armory runs. It fits right in. But as always with shotguns, the range fall-off is brutal, and inconsistent one-shots mean you have to play practically in your enemy's lap. Fantastic in the right setting, bad anywhere else. Let's shine a light on the AN-94. This assault rifle has a unique mechanic, a hyper-fast 2-round burst. If you can master it, the time to kill on that first burst is insane. It also has surprisingly good recoil control in burst mode compared to standard full-auto rifles. The problem, its ammunition and effective range do not scale as well as the big dogs in the meta. It is good, but it does not age gracefully. And then we have the DTMDR. Yes, another MDR, because why not? This one is known for excellent handling and recoil control when modded properly. Like its cousin, it has flexible mods and can fill the role of either a budget-designated marksman rifle or an assault rifle. But just like before, it falls behind the absolute meta rifles in time to kill, and the best builds are expensive. You can make it shine, but you will pay for it. So, in summary, the B tier is filled with reliable, flexible guns. They may not be flashy, but they are capable of winning fights and carrying raids, especially if you understand their strengths. They sit comfortably between budget junk and high-end beasts. Good, sometimes great, but not quite legendary. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, FAL, P90, SVDAEK, AK-12, AR-57, M4, A1, M110, and M24. Alright, now we're climbing into the A tier, the weapons that feel downright elite, but still have just enough quirks to keep them out of the absolute S tier spotlight. These are the guns you can trust to carry you deep into endgame raids, provided you know how to use them. Let's break them down, starting with the FAL. This beast is one of the rare assault rifles that can handle Tier 6 ammunition, and it absolutely slaps at close to mid-range. The accuracy is laser-like, and once you master the recoil, it becomes a powerhouse. The only thing holding it back is how hard it kicks and how pricey the attachments are. It is fantastic, but your wallet might not agree. Next up, the P90. If you like spraying bullets like a fire hose, this is your weapon. The blistering 1,000 rounds per minute fire rate feels amazing, especially with strong Tier 5 ammunition. It is perfect for close quarters fights and aggressive pushes. Once you mod it out, the recoil feels stable, but the downside is range. Damage and penetration fall off fast, so if you are not up close, you are just burning ammo. Now let's talk about the SVD, the semi-automatic designated marksman rifle. This thing is a sniper's dream. High per-shot power, excellent accuracy, and it pairs beautifully with thermal or long-range optics. It feels fantastic when you land your shots. But here is the catch. It is heavy, it is expensive, and in close-quarters fights, it feels like you are trying to swing a telephone pole around. The AEK is one of those rifles that feels like cheating once you unlock its potential. The recoil is insanely stable, even when firing high-tier ammunition like Tier 4 through Tier 6. It also has a great price-to-performance ratio since it is cheaper than the HK416. The only drawback? To make it shine, you do need to invest in solid optics and grips, otherwise it just feels like a good but not great rifle. Then there's the AK-12, which is one of the smoothest handling assault rifles out there. The recoil control is forgiving, and with the right armor-piercing ammunition, like BS rounds, it hits hard. The trade-off is that its raw damage per second is a little lower than the HK416, and you will need premium attachments to get that buttery smooth feel. Still, it is one of the best all-rounders in the game. The AR-57 is another interesting entry. It rivals the HK416 in time to kill when you are running 5.7mm ammunition. It has good effective range and controllable spray, so it feels versatile. But the downsides? The ammunition is pricey, and it suffers from a bit of horizontal recoil that can throw off your tracking. It is strong, but it makes you pay for it. Let's not forget the classic M4A1. This rifle is like the Swiss Army knife of Arena Breakout Infinite. It has balanced stats across the board, and the massive attachment ecosystem means you can build it however you want. With the right setup, it can have practically zero recoil. The only problem is cost. It runs about $120,000 more than an AK-12 to achieve that stability. Worth it? Depends on how fat your stash is. Now for the M110, a semi-automatic designated marksman rifle that feels like a sniper's best friend. It can reliably drop enemies in 2 shots when running Tier 6 ammunition, and it stays relatively lightweight compared to other long-range options. The big drawback is that the best builds are expensive, and premium ammunition does not come cheap. Powerful, but not for broke players. The M24 rounds out the A tier. This bolt-action rifle has the highest skill ceiling of any weapon in the game. With top ammunition, it can deliver devastating one-shot kills. But here is the challenge. You need perfect aim and precision, because missing is punished brutally with its long recovery time. For sharpshooters, it is incredibly satisfying. For everyone else, it is a frustrating love-hate relationship. So that's the A tier, strong, versatile, and capable of carrying you into late-game raids. But each one comes with quirks, whether it is cost, recoil, or a steep learning curve. They are weapons that reward mastery, and when you get them right, you feel unstoppable. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, H416, HK416, and MK14. Alright, this is it. The S tier, the absolute kings of Arena Breakout Infinite. These are the weapons that define the meta, the ones you see in highlight reels, and the ones that make you cry when you hear them firing in your direction. If you want the very best tools of destruction, this is where you live. Let's start with the H416, also known as the HK416. This rifle is a laser beam when you kit it out properly. The recoil is practically non-existent, and with access to Tier 6 and Tier 7 ammunition, enemies drop almost instantly. It is versatile across every map, whether you are pushing in close quarters or locking down long-range sightlines. The only downside? Your bank account. Building this rifle to its full potential is insanely expensive, and every death feels like losing a small mortgage payment. Now, the MK14 is the other meta monster. It has a unique advantage with its select fire mode, letting you switch between semi-automatic for ranged precision or full auto for close-range chaos. With powerful M61 or M62 ammunition, this thing can 2-tap players in Tier 6 armor, which is absolutely terrifying. It doubles as a pseudo-designated marksman rifle while still being flexible enough to shred up close. The price you pay? Heavy recoil, expensive modifications, and costly ammo. But when it works, it feels unstoppable. The reason these guns sit in S tier is simple. They are not just strong, they are dominant. Time to kill, versatility, and access to the best ammunition put them leagues ahead of almost everything else. Sure, they are expensive, but if you want to stack wins and you can afford the loadouts, nothing else compares. So when you see someone rocking an HK416 or an MK14, remember this: you are not just fighting another player, you are fighting someone who basically paid a cover charge just to bully the entire lobby. These are the guns that define the Arena Breakout Infinite experience, and if you are lucky enough to wield them, you know exactly why they are considered the meta. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.